Okay, what's up, guys? I got this ATV storage box. It's by Plano. It's a Plano storage box. You see it right here, right? I have one on my Honda Rancher also, and I really like it. It's low profile and it holds a lot of stuff. But you know me, I'm always trying to modify things. So I got it mounted on the quad here. I got a couple extra storage boxes. I'm going to be showing you how I rig up my quad, right? But over here on this box, they have these empty dead spaces, right? So I was trying to figure out, you want to try to get as much stuff into your survival quad as you can, right? So I bought these little storage boxes, and what I tried to do first was I used the Velcro in there. It's not the really good Velcro, they call it interlock Velcro, right? And it really held good in there, and I was like, okay, this is cool. But then I said to myself, you know what, let me leave this thing out in the sun, because I had a strange feeling, right, that the interlock Velcro sticky part was going to come loose with the heat, right? So it was a disaster. They all fell off in the sun, all right? But so I had to come up with an idea how to get these things in here, right? So what I did, I got out a bunch of tools. I got some wood. Okay, this is what I came up with. All right, I got a piece of plywood. It's thin plywood. I don't know what it is, a 1/4 inch or whatever it is, 1/8 of an inch. All right, I don't know the measurements. It's the real thin stuff. This is the stuff I use to reface my cabinets in my kitchen. But anyway, I got a piece of wood. I cut the dimensions out that would fit snug into the top of the trunk, like what I show you where those indents are. I drilled 3 holes. Right, and on top of the 3 holes, I glued with this welder stuff. It's pretty good. Hopefully it holds up, right? But I glued washers on it, so when I use the butterfly nuts, it doesn't dig into the wood, right? So this is what I got so far. So on the other side, on the back side, I'm gonna mount the boxes. See? Now these are gonna be mounted. I got some small screws. Right, and these will all be mounted like this, right? Because it's going to be fine to mount all, because in these little boxes, it's not going to be anything too heavy. Probably put some medical supplies, extra batteries, extra flashlights, or maybe a tire repair kit and stuff like that. All the stuff that's going to go in here is basically going to be stuff that I want to have with me, but I'm not going to have to use all the time. Right, it's all my emergency type stuff. The little things where you say to yourself, "Oh man, I'm stranded. I wish I had that," or it would be great if I had a zip tie or something like that. But all the little essentials that you got to sit there and think. You got to fill these cases what you think is going to come in handy. Right? I have different ideas. You can even put, if you want, you could throw some, extra 22s in these boxes if you want. They fit fine, right? So whatever your imagination comes up with, you're going to put in these boxes. But the stuff you're going to put in these boxes are going to be the stuff where you're not going to have to get to all the time, right? That's going to go into the main part of your trunk, right? Basically your tent, your clothes, your tools, and all your survival gear, your stove, and everything. Remember, this is a survival vehicle. All right, so this is what I got. I'm going to show you how I'm going to mount these on, and I'm going to show you how I got we call it the screws in the top of the trunk. It's a little effort to do it, but I'll show you, and it's quite simple. It's just the way you do it. You got to drill a hole and slide them down. You just got to make sure that they're straight and they line up with your holes. I'll show you how I put the screws in. Okay, before I go on, I just want to make sure I give you guys the dimensions so I don't forget. Okay, so what we got going on over here, from here to here, right, is 34 and a half. 34 and a half piece from end to end, and top to bottom is 15 and 5/8. All right, I'm just giving you my measurements because it took a couple of trials and error, because this thing got to fit perfectly inside the inner core of the bottom part of the trunk, right? So it's 34 and 1/2 width, and height is 15 and 5/8. All right. Okay, the inner cutout up here is 19.5 across, right? And 7 inches deep, right? And that's how you get this cut right here. 19.5, 7 inches deep. Now it takes all the guesswork, oh, which size I got to cut. This worked out fine for me. But one thing you have to know, okay? Now this piece of wood is 3/4. Okay, this is a 3/4 piece of wood, right? All right, so it was an old piece of molding, I guess. So 3/4 piece of wood. What I did, I put a block in here, a 3/4, and I rested the cover on top of the block, right? And then that's when I drilled my holes from here into the plastic, here into the plastic, here into the plastic, because you have to have this space at the bottom, right? Because then it would hit the lip of the bottom of the trunk, right? So when you're mounting this piece of wood on, make sure 3/4 inch piece of wood right in here. Let this rest on top. Then you screw right through it so you can have your even holes. You know, no guesswork. Just find the heavy part of the plastic and you're screwing in right there. Okay. Not rocket science. All right, you're making a cover. That's it. All right, and that's like I said. I got my cover here. And let me show you. Let me take this tape off for my educational purposes. All right, so you guys got the measurements. If you didn't, right, you got to pay attention. Right? I don't want to hear in the comment section, oh, what's the measurements? That means you didn't watch the whole video. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I did with the nuts. Okay, so simple butterfly things. What I think I'm going to do for the butterfly nuts, right? I think I'm going to make a little pouch over here. So when you take them off, you just throw them into the pouch so you don't lose them. But I'm definitely going to have some extra butterfly nuts with me when I'm on the trails in one of those little boxes. All right? So this comes off, right? I didn't mount the boxes on yet, but I'll show you that. Okay, now let me try to zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in. There we go. Okay. All right, so what I had to do, I got hex bolts, right? So I got 3 hex bolts, the exact size. I might as well give that to you. I don't know if I kept the plastic. No, I think I threw it away. Well, anyway. Okay, guys. Right, I couldn't get the, I threw the package out. But the butterfly nuts right here, if you can see it, is M6 1.0, right? And they go on these bolts, which is 1 inch long, right? So these are 1 inch long bolts. Just find this butterfly nut and match it up with that hex bolt. Anyway, so what I did here was I had to drill a big hole, right? So I could get the back of the hex bolt in there. And then I made I measured where my drill mark was, and I made a line. So with the pliers, what I did, I put the hex bolt to fit in there, and then I pulled it down with a pair of pliers. But be careful that you don't mess the threads up. Right? Pulled it down to right where it's supposed to be, and it fit in there nice and tight. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it right now, but they're in there tight. They're in there pretty good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this in with some epoxy and go around this whole thing with some epoxy. Right? This should make it more snug, and it will stay totally straight all the time. Right? But that's how I got the bolts in here. This is right towards the end is where you drilled your little hole. Right? And you're going to make a bigger hole, stick the hex bolt, back of it in there, and take a pliers and pull it down to where it's supposed to go. Alright, voila. Now once they're all lined up, then you can just put your carrier plate on it. Alright, just get it out. Now it fit evenly with your bolts, right? So that's why I'm saying I might epoxy it, because sometimes the bolts, they wiggle. They don't wiggle around. They're pretty in there tight, but sometimes it might push up a little bit and it's hard to get the thing back on. With the epoxy, it will keep them straight. And that's it. And then you put your little butterflies on there. Your little annoying butterflies. Okay, and then you can tighten them down. Okay, I'm gonna mount the boxes on it now, and I'll let you see once I'm done mounting. Okay, guys, with my trusty pencil, I marked out the areas where my little boxes are gonna go. right? But you got to use a trusty pencil. Don't use a pencil that's going to try to like talk nonsense to you or deceive you. You got to have a trusty pencil, all right? And what I did, I just put this against the top of the trunk carrier, right? And I lined it up with those little indent marks, right? The indents on the top part of the trunk carrier. Right, so I just lined it up over there, and I just marked out where the indents are, and I'm going to put my little cases right in the middle. And the smaller ones, what you're going to do with the smaller ones, you're going to line them up in the middle, but you're going to leave a little slack on each side evenly on each one. And when you're mounting them, right, when you're mounting them, you can't even see, hold on, let's back off a little on this. All right, so when you're mounting the smaller ones on, right, just leave a little slack in between them. Get them in the middle. And on this side of your carrier, this is the cutout facing here. This side of the carrier, you want all your little openings to be on facing out this way, and this one facing out this way. And on the other side, you want the opposite side. So you're not reaching in here to unclip them. They're all like lined up nice and neat. Okay? And make sure, don't, like I'm telling you, you got to use a trusty pencil to make those marks. Okay guys, what I did here, I drilled through the plastic and through the piece of wood, and I got two nice holes where I'm going to put my my nuts and bolts, right? And little helpful hint, if you want to stay neat on it, right? You just move it over the one that you just drilled through, right? Line it up where you want it, right? And let's take a marker and mark 2 dots through the holes you already made. So now when you drill these holes over here, they're perfectly lined up. So when you, I'm just crazy like that. When you open the trunk case up, these screw holes will all be even. Okay, and you could do it the same thing with the small ones. And just a little helpful hint, because I had my trusty marker this time. Alright guys, there you go. You got everything. I got them all bolted down. I put little bolts in it. Right? Little carry spots on it. Right? You can all get all your little compartments. Now these things that I bought, these little Husky, you know, I found them in Home Depot. They were cheap. I think the small one's like $1.98, and the other ones were like maybe $2 something. Right? But they're from Husky. They got little inside them. They have these little dividers, and they come with these little sliding things. That you break one of these off, you could slide these in to make smaller compartments. Okay guys, there you go. We got it all set up, all the little boxes all tucked away nice and neat, all your emergency stuff. Right? And all you gotta do is you take your 3 butterfly nuts off, right? Pull it out, lay it down, and now you got all your emergency stuff. You got all that stuff, that little extras you want to bring with you, and all you're doing is utilizing the space, that's the dead space inside the top part of the Plano. Okay guys, there you go. That's what I did to utilize some of that lost space in the Plano trunk for the ATV. My next video is going to be about, I bought these little Husky 2 boxes that fit inside the bottom. So my next video is probably going to be about what I'm putting in the boxes, how I load everything up, what I take with me when I go on a long quad ride, and all the essentials that I need when I'm out on a long trip. But anyway, here, these Husky boxes were $6 each, and what they do is that you could put different things in all the boxes, and it keeps everything a lot more organized, right, for you, so they're not bouncing around. Instead of just throwing everything inside the carrier itself, you're keeping things a little bit more organized and tighter, so that, like I said, they're not kicking around and everything. This one thing, when I don't know if I mentioned in the video, when you're putting those carriage bolts up, when you're putting the carriage bolts in the top part, and you got that big hole where you put the hex bolt in, you gotta remember you gotta drill the hole above your regular your pilot hole where the screw is gonna go. Then you take the Dremel and make that little line. I don't know if I mentioned that I used the Dremel to make that line, and then you pull the bolt down. But anyway, guys, live for today, prep for tomorrow, and I'll see you next time. Walking on